And we're live. We've actually been live for 30 seconds, but good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 25 of the Vegan Hour. This is Tuesday, December the 11th, and this is going to be the last Vegan Hour for 2018. So you're going to have to put up with me being a little bit fuzzy tonight, and you can blame technology for that. Tonight, I am joined by the wonderful Tammy Fry from Fry's Family Foods, and we are going to be finding out all about Tammy and her vegan journey, which started as a vegetarian journey. We're also going to be finding out about Fry's Family Foods. But before we get into all of that, let me just mention that the Vegan Hour is sponsored by Vegan Frothers Cruelty-Free Clothing, Cess Vegan Pies, and Cindian Natural Food Products. And also, I want to mention a couple of events that are coming up. Tomorrow is actually, tomorrow, December the 12th, we have the Animal Justice Party Northern Rivers Meet the Candidates Night happening at 6 p.m. New South Wales time at Rawthentic in Tweed Heads. And you can meet Alison Waters, who's a representative from Ballina, Anna Ludwig from Lismore, and Susie Herder from Tweed Heads. So that's tomorrow night. You can meet the Animal Justice Party New South Wales candidates at Rawthentic at 6 p.m. One other event is this Saturday. My Vegan Life group has a Vegan Life lunch at 12 o'clock at the new Goodness Gracias Fully Vegan Cafe in Palm Beach. If you haven't been there yet, come along and enjoy the wonderful food and the friendly atmosphere, and just have a good time, because we will be, and if you're not there, we'll eat some food for you. So we already got the first comment. Look at that. That is fantastic. I'm looking at the first comment from Robert, who says, I've turned my life around ever since going vegan. It's been such a awesome journey. That is great. Straight off the bat there. Thanks for that comment, Robert. So Tammy, thank you very much for joining me all the way from the Sunshine Coast. And
thanks for having me.
I've been reading a bit about you, and I've been chatting a bit with you before we went live, and I'm quite impressed with your vegan journey. It's very interesting, and also with what Fry's Family Foods has been doing. And so I want to find out tonight, I want you to share with us your pearls of wisdom and some of your experiences and challenges. And people watching can ask questions, of course, as we go along. So let's start off with yourself. So let's go right back to the beginning. You were actually born vegetarian in a meat-eating country. Of course, that in a meat-eating country is pretty much applies to everywhere, unfortunately, until we change a bit more. But that would have had a lot of challenges in that. So I want to go back to that. And also what I found interesting is that your dad wasn't vegetarian when you were born. So tell us how that comes about, how you were born vegetarian without a father that's vegetarian.
So it is quite yes, I was born a vegetarian. Some people say how can you be born a vegetarian? But I could never eat animal products. And I guess probably at about the age of 2, when I actually realized that a drumstick wasn't something that you only played the drums with. This was actually a part of an animal's body. That was, for me, just horrifying, that somebody would actually eat something off an animal. Like I didn't see, I suppose I was very, very sensitive to that at a very, very young age. And my father, Wally Fry, actually used to breed goats for slaughter. And that, I grew up on a farm with these animals. And it was horrifying to think that these animals that I actually got to know were, being sold off. So yes, I was always passionate. From a very young age, I was very passionate about people not eating meat. And I got myself into trouble many times because I was very direct. When you're young, you don't have all the tips on advocacy, so you can be quite direct.
You didn't have the filters happening.
No, I didn't, you don't know. I mean, that carried on all the way through school. I didn't know, and I made a lot of enemies, and, I was disliked by people because I guess I was quite direct about people not eating animals.
So you say you made.
I've learned how to.
So you made a lot of enemies, but that didn't really worry you, by the sounds of it.
No, I've always been a strong person. I've been an athlete and I suppose quite individual. And my passion about animals was greater than my passion to have lots of friends. So
that's awesome.
I just couldn't, I think I was just, I didn't want, I could see that, I was living a healthy life. I was strong. I was competitive. I was always, probably one of the highest performing athletes at my school, always, in all different types of sports. So I knew that I wasn't unhealthy. So, but the animal rights was really, strong for me. So I just didn't want people to eat animals. So I was quite, I was quite forthright on that. And I had some strange experiences at school. I was the only vegetarian out of 1,000 children or girls. I was at an all-girls school. And at Christian studies, I was called in, I was probably 13 years old, and I was called in at Christian studies, and everyone had to lay their hands on me and pray for me because they said it was anti-Christian to be a vegetarian. So this is like a genuine story. Like you would think now that would be crazy, right? But these are the things that some vegetarians have to deal with, like back, going back a long time. So yeah, that I had to deal with. And I was always kind of a little isolated because of my food choices. I wasn't a vegan even. I wasn't a vegan back then. I mean, if I'd been a vegan, that would have been off the charts. Right? I would have just
they wouldn't have just done a hands-on healing or whatever. They would have burnt you at the stake.
I'm telling you that was a possibility. So, so it was very, people didn't like the fact that I was vegetarian.
It's actually, as a slight aside to that, I actually watched a video just in the last week with a Christian pastor who was actually saying pretty much the same thing that you've experienced as a kid. And this is present time. He's saying it now. He's saying being vegan is against Christianity, and basically that they would pray for the vegans and hope they see the light, and that the animals were put here for us to eat and all that. It was really extremely disheartening.
I mean, it's changed now. It's very different now, but that is sort of, and then when your friends or the people who are around you have the school actually kind of saying that you're doing a wrong thing, it's very difficult. It was very difficult, and I guess that started my interest in advocacy. How do I go about changing people in a very subtle way? And that's when I learned that through my sport, I could actually change people's minds, and through achieving, in my sport, people would start to say, okay, maybe she's doing something that's actually pretty good. And that was when I already stepped up my training. I was a karate athlete, and I ended up winning the junior world championships while I was at school. And I think that was the first time that people actually turned around and said, okay, what are you eating? How did you achieve this? Like, how do you feed yourself? And I was, at the time I was doing the zone, I was following Dr. Barry Sears, the zone diet, which was very tough to do on a vegetarian diet.
Okay.
It's a very high protein diet, and that is what I was following at the time. Now this is going back. I didn't have all the knowledge I have now, and this is going back some years. So.
And so you, there's a question just come in there, but I'll get to that one. So what were you doing? It was a high protein diet. So what were you doing then to keep the protein up as a vegetarian?
I was eating a lot of fries, the fries products. I mean, I was taking sausages to school. I was eating a lot of meat alternatives because there were, in South Africa, there were no other, there weren't vegan proteins and things like that. You just couldn't buy that kind of thing. There was no supplements for vegans, or there was no even dairy alternatives. There was no such thing as soy milk or coconut milk. Those things didn't exist. So I had a lot of fries, and vegetables, and that's kind of how I did it.
Wow. What did you do? Oh, well, of course, at that stage you were vegetarian, so the fact that there weren't milk alternatives wasn't as big an issue for you at that stage. Like there weren't dairy milk
Yeah,
alternatives.
I mean, yeah, I think if there had been, I think I would have been
Yeah.
vegan earlier, because that's when I came to
Okay.
Australia, that's where I transitioned, because I realized
Okay. Yeah.
how important these alternatives were. And I think that's, like, it really hit me hard that products like fries, dairy alternatives, cheese alternatives, yogurt alternatives, all of these things that are now available help people to transition, because they can live exactly the same way that they always live. They can cook what they always cooked, and they have alternatives to use. And there's like a crutch,
Yeah.
You can eventually go raw, you can eventually go along in your journey, but as a first stage for veganism, these alternatives are very important. So no, there was nothing back then. I mean, South Africa is changing; it's a very different place now. But when I got to Australia, I was like, wow, there's a whole milk alternative section. Why would I ever have dairy again? And that's the moment that I started to look really at dairy, because I knew now I had an option. So then it was safe to kind of go, okay, let me look what's happening in this industry. I don't like it. Okay, I can change, because I know I've got something to fall back on. So.
Okay, so I want to continue along that line, but first I just want to sort of segue to a couple of questions here. David has asked, how come fries is halal? Because halal funds are given to halal slaughterhouses, which defeats the purpose. Have you got any? Can you comment on that?
Yeah. So we don't pay any fees to any organizations. We carry the logo purely because Muslim people don't have alcohol, and fries doesn't contain alcohol. So,
right.
But we don't pay any fees for that. It's just that we want to provide food for anyone that wants to be vegan, whether they be Christian, halal, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever religious following they have. If they want to be vegan, they want to eat meat alternatives or transition foods to help them. That's what we want to be able to do. So we don't pay anyone for that.
Okay, great.
And going anywhere.
And a comment there from Trish from Chefs in the Raw saying that they will be featuring fries in an episode next year.
Yes, that's true. I look forward to doing it with Trish.
Trish is wonderful. She was on the Vegan Hour earlier this year, and she has been vegan her entire life, 61 years, I think, 61 or 62. Yeah, so which is the longest, almost the longest that I've heard of someone being vegan from birth, and 61 years. Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's amazing.
And David says it's good to. David's just replied that it's good to hear about the halal situation. So going back to at what age did you actually start your karate and to become so competitive at such an early age? You started quite young, I assume.
Yeah, my family have always been very athletic. Tammy Fry was actually in the South African water skiing team for over 10 years. And, we had some tough times when I was very young. We lived in a very small house, I would say probably a 30 square meter home, just concrete palisade walls and a tin roof, no running water. My parents used to fetch water down at the river. This was when he was in the goat trading. And it was tough financial times. So that's when he stopped. Obviously, water skiing is the sport that needs boats and fuel, and so he stopped water skiing, and he chose the cheapest sport that we could do as a family, and that happened to be karate. So we started as a family, and that was when I was 4 years old. So we did it because it was the most cost-effective sport to do. So I was 4 years old. My mum started, my dad started, and I started. My dad is graded 5th Dan, my mum's graded 3rd Dan, and I'm graded 5th Dan. So, and then my sisters too. I mean, became a family sport for us.
That's certainly also a very bonding thing to do, a family bonding thing, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think all families should find a sport, something that they have in common, you know, something that you can do together, because our weekends were always spent together. We were at a karate tournament. We were always moving together. It wasn't that one was going to do one sport, another one was doing another sport. We were always together, and we were interested in the same thing. So we traveled the world together. So many experiences and adventures we had later on with karate as a sport. And it's been, I mean, it's an amazing martial arts is I think all children should do. Everyone should do a martial art. You know, I teach women self-defense programs, and the statistics on violence against women are horrific. You know, in South Africa, one woman is raped every 26 seconds. In Australia, 33% of women will be exposed to violence, and I think I'm a real advocate for women empowerment, and I think that everybody should know how to defend themselves. I think it's a critical skill. So I'm very grateful to my dad for finding the cheapest sport that happened to be karate, and that we could do together.
That is fantastic. Yes. A comment there from David says the story behind Fry's is amazing. We do love your products. Keep up the great work. So that's a nice comment.
Thanks, David.
At what age did you convince your dad to go vegetarian? Did you keep hammering at him for a while?
Oh man, he was a tough nut.
I can tell he was a tough nut. There's no doubt about that.
He was. So he moved out of the goat trading business and into construction. He started building, you know, houses, and he became very successful. That was his business. So he actually did very well in the construction industry, and he ended up building a 4,000 sow piggery. And he went back to, he was very proud of his work, but he went back to see it in operation. And I think that was when he saw that, and he saw the cruelty. I think that for him was his day, his episphany. And he changed. He decided that, you know, he needs to change the way that he eats, and he's got to just do it. And he was one of these guys that really, really loved meat. He loved eating meat, you know, which is like most, I suppose that's like most people. That's why it's so difficult to change. Yes. And so I think it was myself, you know, my constant nagging and asking him so many questions, you know, all the time about everything he was eating. You know, is that the toenail of the chicken? What is that you're eating now? Like how, you know, I was asked a lot of detailed questions. And then that combined with seeing the piggery, I think that was for him, you know, the final straw. And he changed. And that was when Fry's was born, because that was when he started making products that tasted like meat for us to eat.
And this was at home. When was this? Was this not? This was it 1991? Was it? Is that right, or was it earlier than that?
That was when Fry's was. It was earlier than that. It would have been about probably 1989.
Oh yes,
I would say.
Okay. And this was you were still in South Africa at the time. Yeah.
Yes, we've only been in Australia for 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
So, everything happened in South Africa.
Is it true that when he had that sort of that realization that you know, in connection with the piggery and that he actually rescued one of the pigs from there? Is that correct? Did I see that story somewhere?
We did. It was in the video, in the Fry's video, but I think the agency that helped us put the video together wanted to take some creative license, because he said he felt like stealing the pigs and taking them away. Like you know, he felt so he wanted to just take them and rescue them. But you know, I think the idea of it of just kind of taking that whole experience for him was so life changing. And he always said, I just wanted to take those pigs, you know. And I'd created this building. I built this building. I'd made it, and I was so proud of it. And then in that moment, it was just shattered. Like, what did I do? You know?
So he had a heavy weight of responsibility on him. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and that was when he just said, I've got to do something. You know, I can't just. And when somebody becomes vegan or vegetarian for the first time, they're very passionate about it. The passion is very strong. So you kind of like. You know, you want to change the world on that day. You want people to see what you've seen on that day. So you go out really hard and fighting, you know. So
Yeah.
And then you learn that that's not always exactly the right way to do it, because firstly you're going to burn out, and secondly, not everybody takes it the right way.
Yeah, it's a unfortunate reality that is hard learned sometimes, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's not everybody sees and not everybody feels the same passion we do when we have an awakening, but it is a wonderful thing when somebody does actually tap into that, and we can sort of go, wow, this, we can see that we're having an influence. And you were saying earlier that with being such a successful athlete in karate, that people were sort of coming to you, and even as a teenager, and sort of saying, okay, how do you do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I started teaching karate very young as well. I started my own karate school as a high school entrepreneur project. So I had a lot of the young girls training with me. Some of those girls that I had are now, all of the ones that I can remember are vegan now. So
Wow.
I think because you can inspire people. That's my big belief. You can inspire people. Leading by example is very much more powerful than having an argument with somebody. Leading by example. My husband started when he came to Australia a CrossFit gym in Noosa, and you'll see, I mean, just inside the gym, there's, everybody comes to CrossFit either doing paleo or ketogenic diets. It's very, very meat heavy. And we've seen a massive shift just within our space because they look at what we do. So we've inspired them to change rather than instructed them to change. And then they ask a lot of questions, and that's how we go about doing it. And that's, and just kind of helping people, being a support for people and teaching them and giving them helpful tips, and, running these workshops. And that's the way I think advocacy can be very successful.
It's change through awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Rather than change through force.
Yes. Yeah. I think force is met back with force. And, people are very defensive because this is what they've been doing. So they're always going to defend themselves. And I think as advocates, we know what the defenses are. The same things are going to come up over and over again. So we just have to, just develop a response deck, so you got to know your response deck. And that's what I have. I have my response deck, and I know if they say, but where do you get your protein from? Or if you're on a deserted island and there was nothing but you, and and we know all those things. Those are the questions we're going to be asked. So we get ready for those.
So Tammy, where do you get your protein from?
Oh my goodness! I don't think we need as much protein as we think we need. But
that's true. That is
that
true.
Aside.
Yeah. Do you?
That aside, yeah.
Do you? What's your favorite response to that question? Do you have one that you use regularly, or do you just change it depending on the situation?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. Like if you've got an athlete coming to you and they're really, really looking for protein, of course, there's products like Fry's which have equal amounts of protein to meat, and you use it in exactly the same way as you use meat. Now that's a simple and easy response, and everybody can do it, and they're not going to think, oh my gosh, I don't even know what tempeh is. I don't even know what is quinoa. How do you spell it? Where do I buy it from? I don't know these things. So often keeping it simple, because what we want to do as advocates is we just want to plant a seed of you just want to plant a seed with someone, and you want to leave it there. And I think that's the key thing, is not to be too complicated. And, now you must be raw vegan, level 10 vegan on day one, and try and help that person to move from eating sausages and bacon to being a raw vegan. I think raw veganism is incredible, but I don't think people can go from eating meat to being raw vegan the next day, because I don't think they're going to stay there. So we have to help them to take that first step and let them go along their own journey and ultimately become, much more conscious about everything that they're eating, going more to a whole food diet. That's what we want people to do. But there's steps that they have to take to get there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And Kathleen says that she agrees entirely that inspiring others is a more positive way to lead, and that's obviously what you've been doing from quite a young age, inspiring others, family and friends and schoolmates, and which is awesome.
Yeah.
It really it's really great to hear that that you were teaching karate at a young age, and that the girls you were teaching it to have been inspired to go vegan, which is that's fantastic. So.
Yeah, I didn't even know. A lot of them I didn't even, I've been back to South Africa and have seen them since. And every time I see an old student, they're like, oh, I've gone vegan. And I'm like, oh, that just shows that maybe there was a seed planted a long time ago. And that seed's been watered in the right way, or other vegans have touched their lives in a positive way. And now they're there, right? And that's amazing to think that's how it's happened. Yeah. They definitely weren't vegan, when I was teaching them 20 years ago. So it's been a long time for them.
And quite possibly, as you say, it's happened not because you were pointing to them and saying, hey, you need to go vegan, but rather you were exempling it and just without even saying it, and just saying, well,
and that's tough. That's a tough thing for vegans to do, because we know the urgency.
Yes.
So we know, we don't have, okay, we don't have a lot of time. The oceans, 2048, that's it. Oceans are done. So now you want to go out and you want to say to people how you cannot eat fish. So you just can't. And you want to have that. You so desperately want to have that. I want to have that fight. So I'm like, I just want to grab people and, shake them and say, there's no time left. You have to go vegan tomorrow. But it's just not going to get the right reactions. I think slowly but surely, with the increase in consciousness, and people are changing quite quickly now. So it's just about supporting people. You don't have to take it on yourself to change them on day one. You just have to try and support them as best that you can. And it's not on you. You don't have to. It's not your responsibility only.
That's a really good point. I pick up on that point. There's 2 points here I pick up on. It's not your responsibility only. That's a really good point. You just do the best. I came across this where a activist was saying, don't feel like you have to be perfect when you're talking to somebody. You just example where you're at, and you sort of just make them aware of things that they're not aware of, and you just do the best you can at the time. But the other thing
I always say perfection is the enemy to advocacy. If you expect people to do everything, they're going to do nothing. Maybe if you just ask them to be meat-free Mondays, just do meat-free Mondays, because everyone can do that. And then they do that, and then they say, oh, well, that was quite easy. I learned a new recipe. I'm going to implement that next week, and I'm going to do more vegetarian days. And once they've justified those days, then how can they not just justify the other days? And now they know a few things. So absolutely, that's it.
And actually, you mentioned Meat-Free Mondays. You actually started Meat-Free Mondays in Australia and South Africa.
Yep, we did. Fries and me, I've sort of spearheaded it in South Africa and Australia. And we've done some large-scale research in South Africa, which a lot of people that are watching might find interesting. We surveyed, there was a large-scale survey done, 50,000 people, and we asked how many people had actually done Meat-Free Mondays, and we got a really good response. I think it was 40 or 50% of those 50,000 had actually done a meat-free Monday. And then we said, of those people, how many had transitioned and how many had gone, vegetarian or vegan. And we had, it was incredible. I think it was 25% of people, or even greater, 30% of people had now moved to a vegetarian diet, of those people that did meat-free Mondays. So it just shows that an idea like that grows.
Yeah.
So an idea like veganuary will grow. An idea like meat-free Mondays will grow. An idea like vegan before 6 will grow. So these are really great ways to get people to try, just try it, because, and then leave it with them. And usually it becomes something more. We know that. So if everyone in the world did meat-free Mondays, and those were statistics, there would be hundreds of thousands more vegetarians. We'd probably see 20% people vegetarian. Then we hit a tipping point. And when we hit the tipping point, it's easy.
Yeah, well, we want to get that. And also, I'm always very, very personally very strongly wanting to get somebody to, if they've gone what I would call maybe 90% of the way to being vegetarian, then I want to see them go the other 10% of the way and drop the dairy, because as you well know, the cruelty involved in the dairy industry is as bad, if not worse, than the cruelty involved in the meat industry, the regular meat industry, because it's more hidden in the dairy industry, and it's more disguised in the dairy industry, I think, and it's more advertised and promoted as, the dairy industry promoting themselves as, happy cows and that are grazing and giving their milk freely, which is not the case.
No, I mean, it's not at all the case. I mean, and children, my children are being taught that it is a happy, they went off to a dairy to see how the cows all come in, and the cows were all, grazing on the grass, and they all come in to be milked because they want to be milked. And
right.
And I went with because I wanted to, throw a spanner in the works, I suppose, a little bit. And I said to the woman, I said, this is quite a well-known milk brand. Are these 20 cows supplying the whole Sunshine Coast? And she said, no, actually, we've got other dairies. So I said, can we go and see those? Can we take the kids to those dairies as well? Because this is maybe just a showcase dairy. And, I kind of got like the shrug. But it is true that the dairy industry's got a huge amounts of money. And so they can make the public think what they want them to think. But not only that, dairy is not good for you. It's probably one of it's the most unhealthy food that you can eat. People talk about phytoestrogens, and I'm saying that, but if you're eating cheese and dairy and meat, you're eating mammalian estrogen all the time. So if you worry about estrogen, don't eat those foods. There's just such the dairy industry is just poisons people's minds, I suppose. And
it's true, isn't it?
That's the truth.
Yeah, the more you look into it, and it's amazing, even for a long-term vegan as myself, I still find new stuff pretty much every day, and I look into it and I just go, wow, it's like I will always be learning about, how unhealthy it is, and the evils of the industry and things like that, I think, But there's Kathleen asked a question there. Where in South Africa did you live and teach?
Karate, I lived in Durban, and I started a karate school or self-defense school in the beginning, and then it became a karate school at the school I attended called St. Mary's. So it was an Anglican school for girls. That's where I started. And
always the best name for an Anglican school for girls is St. Mary's. They seem to be always called that.
So that's where I started, and then I carried on. We built up a fairly big karate school there at that school, but not only for girls. At that stage, it was more families and boys and everybody. So
it was quite a change going from being a girl that they had to try and heal to get away from being vegetarian to someone who was teaching karate and inspiring others to change.
I think it made it worse because they said karate came from the East. That was like...
Of course, everything from the East is evil if you're a Christian or something like that.
Of course. Well, back then, no, I'm not saying because, I'm not saying anything about the Christian faith, but back then there were a lot of misconceptions about different things. And we did a big education with the school themselves about, karate and what it stood for, and the fact that when you bowed to your instructor, you weren't actually praying to him or her. We did all that education, and they changed. They definitely changed their opinion about it.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to, it's a comment there from Kathy. She said, hello, Uma, because she was quick in noticing that my cat, which Uma, my beautiful vegan cat, was just off camera off the side here, and she got up and jumped behind off the desk as you were talking earlier, and Kathy picked up on it. She was quick, so I didn't want to say anything, but she's gone off probably to eat some more lovely vegan food. But now earlier you were mentioning that your husband has a gym that yes, a CrossFit gym, wasn't it?
CrossFit gym, yeah.
Yes.
That's
now,
correct.
I believe that you were able to influence him positively in looking at a more compassionate lifestyle, because he was actually, when you fell in love and married him, he was actually a professional hunter.
Yes, it's crazy to think.
I mean, he wasn't just a
normal
hunter.
dude.
He was a professional hunter.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
That's wow.
But I think so. I didn't see it. So at the time, a lot of people asked how. So I didn't see it like that because I thought, well, you know, if you were going to eat a steak, or you're going to kill an animal and then eat a steak, you know, for me it was the same sort of thing, right? If you're a meat eater, I didn't see it to be that different. If you were going to shoot the animal, in fact, I think if you're going to eat meat, you should rather shoot the animal. You should learn how to do that.
Right.
So I didn't see it any differently to any dating a meat eater, for example. And they weren't like heaps of vegetarian suitors in South Africa. So I didn't have.
So you didn't find it, you know, when you were dating and that, you didn't find it super challenging? Like if you were going, like what if you went to a restaurant or something and you know he wanted to eat, you know, death?
No, he did, and he did. Yeah, he did eat. I mean, but that's the same as going out with friends that eat meat, you know.
Right.
And I suppose they say you shouldn't change your partner, but when I met him, I thought I'm going to change him. So don't worry. I'm a marketer. I've got this. So no, actually, I kind of employed all my learning about advocacy from my whole life, and I sort of set about myself a challenge to change him. And I have. I mean, he's changed. You know, he's. I would say he's 99% vegan. I don't want to say he's 100% vegan because I think there's you know, for him, he doesn't want to make that 100% commitment to veganism, but he's very, very close. Like, you know, he doesn't eat meat, he doesn't have dairy. So yeah, but he's very, very, I mean, it's very different to how it was back then. And of course it's challenging. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have the same situation. They've got kids that want to eat meat, or they've got a husband that does eat meat, or they've got a wife that eats meat. So it's in families, there's very different dietary requirements, or people having different, and ultimately it is your own journey. And you can create influence, and there are different ways of creating influence. And I think I created influence with him enough for him to consider alternatives. One of the things I did do is I fed him vegetarian for a month, and I never told him. So I used meat or I cooked, and I used meat or he didn't know that. I mean, I never cooked meat from anyway, but I suppose it didn't even, the penny didn't drop until I told him at the end. I said, well, actually, you've been a vegetarian for a month. And he said, well, it's amazing because my heartburn's gone. So I was like, well, that's probably why you're getting heartburn. It's probably from eating animal products and you know, the acidity. And he said, well, I think I'm going to give it a go for like another month, but don't talk to me about it. I said, no, I'm not going to say anything. And I just tried to cook really great tasting food. And, you know, I think if you can do that and you can showcase within the family that the food tastes amazing. I mean, using meat alternatives is always handy because if you have a schnitzel on a plate or eat a burger or have nuggets, that's the food that people have become accustomed to, makes it much easier. You don't have to be doing, you know, salads, and you don't have to go very far. You can just kind of do transition meals. You can still make lasagnas just using alternatives. You can still do mac and cheese using alternatives. You can do the things that people are used to. Sunday roasts, you know, using maybe a schnitzel, or so doing those things. Curries, prawn curry. We use Fry's prawns and we do prawn curry. So those kind of ideas help people to see that it's not that difficult. That's I think that's the key.
It's a good way to transition, isn't it? I think, you know, with the meat alternatives, and I love the way that you've done it without telling him. I think I can totally relate to doing that, because that was actually what my mum did with my dad in their late 70s to get them to actually go vegetarian, and they're almost vegan, so they're getting close to it. So so you've got 2 kids, and so how do they fit in with your vegan lifestyle? Do they go along with it, or are they a bit of a challenge? Or
no, we're vegan, and so in our home there's no animal products. But with my kids, I've got 2 boys. My 6-year-old is definitely vegan, like he's on board 100%. But now I've got a 10-year-old, and he's pushing back. You know, I'm getting a lot of pushback now. I want to try this, I want to try that.
Right.
So you know, I've had a lot of vegans criticize me, but I've given him a little more flexibility outside of the home, not to eat meat. I don't think he'll ever eat meat. I mean, he's eaten a sausage before, and he was so sick, so he'll never eat it again. But he does have some flexibility in, you know, having maybe dairy products from time when he's with friends. It doesn't happen with us, but you know. And then I also see myself as an advocate, so I also realize that my choices can only make so much of a difference, but how I'm influencing other people has that much greater difference. So when he goes off with friends, if I have to give the parents a list of things that he can't eat, I found that can often put people off. They're like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm not vegan, you know, because geez, look at this kid, shame, poor kid. That's their first reaction. Poor kid, he can't eat ice cream. They don't see it the same way because they haven't been exposed. So when I give some flexibility, they say, but aren't you guys vegan? I say, yes, but you know, it's okay from time to time. You don't have to be 100%. And they say, oh, well, that's maybe what I want to be. You know, maybe I can also be like 99%, because people don't want to commit for the rest of their life. They find that challenging, that idea of, well, I'll never eat chocolate again. I mean, you know how people are. Well, I'll never be able to eat chocolate again. Oh, well, you can. It's just that once you get more established and you learn about how many different alternatives there are and the ones that taste as good, and then you can maybe drop chocolate. It doesn't,
but I mean,
you don't have to do it
it's 2018. You can go into, you know, any supermarket and get a vegan chocolate, even if it's accidentally vegan. Yeah.
Exactly. So people, and they don't know that on day one. So, you know, I often, and then I see parents really interested, and they start asking, so what would you prepare for your kids? Because they're coming for dinner. What would you usually make? And I'll give them some ideas, and I'll find the whole family will eat a vegan meal. So, the flexibility in the last while has actually been helpful, and I found it's opened people up a lot more around me. Like other parents, I've found them opening up a bit more. And I believe that as he gets older, he will always do what we do anyway. But he is his own, my children are their own people, and we just teach. We are just there to guide them and educate them.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge in a family.
It's very difficult. 100%. It's very difficult as a mom to know if your child went out and maybe had, I don't know, an ice cream with their friends that was dairy. But it's not. I can't control that, and I can't control him for the rest of his life.
No, that's exactly right. Kathleen says it's a wise way to see things, the softly approach, which is, you know, rather than sort of telling people, you know, hard line, as we were saying earlier, you know, you've got to do it this way or else sort of thing, you know, which really gets people's backs up. Kathy made a comment there saying, have we lost sound? But I think it's still all right, because Kathleen has commented, so I think it's okay. I believe you actually also you run workshops around the world in helping people transition to a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I do. So as I said to you before, my spare time, which I don't have much of because it is really hard. You know, we run a big international business, and then of course I've got kids, and you know, I'm a mum, and we train a lot. We're a very athletic sort of family. We love being outdoors and fitness, and So I do in my spare time. I have a blog called the Seed Blog.
Seed Blog. Seedblog.com.
The seedblog.com.
Yep.
Seed-blog.com, where I post my own thoughts and my recipes that I like and things that I've done, you know, how to do this if you've got no time, how to make vegan meals, meal plans that we use, just things that
is that how it's spelled? Can you see it on the screen?
Blog.com. I can't see it on the screen.
Oh, you can't see it.
Blog.com.
Okay, well, I've put it up on the screen, so yeah, seed-blog.com. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yep.
And yeah, I just put and then I run workshops all over the world about transitioning, you know, answering questions on nutrition for athletes, just basically helping people to make that transition, and they get to taste really good, healthy vegan food. So we'll do tasting menus, and yeah, it's my passion, so it's something I love to do.
Excellent. That is excellent. It's actually, and Francesca's put the address there as well, and so I did have it right there. And Kathleen says, my mum would say it's not easy bringing up children, and mum had lots of experience as she had 12 children. Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That's a fantastic mum. Wow, 12 children. That is incredible.
That's amazing.
So yes, you've definitely. I mean, it is amazing how much you manage to fit in, because, I mean, even as a family, you love going for early morning surfs and you know, and sort of getting out in nature and that sort of thing. And then you manage to fit in, you know, your work life and and then there's also the, you know, the training, as you say, and all that, which is, it's incredible. It's I think you're living about 3 lives, not 1.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think in today's world, you know, women, everybody's in the workplace. Everybody's trying to juggle so many balls. It's just a crazy world that we live in at the moment. Everybody's on a budget. It's just, you know, life is not, it's tough. It is tough for people who are there and who know it's a tough place to be in. And yeah, but when you're passionate, so this is my life purpose. This is what I've got to do.
Great.
So I found the time to do these things, because I find it makes me happy. It makes me happy to help people with their transition, to see how their lives change so much. And people stay in touch with me. We have the Seed Tribe, which is a closed group, and people interact on there all the time.
Yes.
You know, about how they do. It's a very safe place for them to talk about, you know, then how their journey is going. So,
that's awesome. And then also on the Seed blog, you have an ebook. Tell us about your ebook.
Yeah, I do. It is. I've got it here with me. So I've got this little booklet which people can get for free if they jump online.
Just hold that up. Can you hold it up again for us?
Sure.
Yep. There we go. Oh yeah, we can see that.
So,
we can see that. Thank you. Yeah.
It's full of recipes, meal plans, grocery shopping lists, you know, lots of different things in here that I suppose, you know, how do you do it on a budget? These are things that I've had to learn as well. And yeah, it's just something that you can download. I'll send it to you if you put your email in there. I'd prefer to do it on a digital format, because the more books that we produce, more environmental harm there. So you can get them by just jumping on to the blog and putting your email address in, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, so I've just put it up there for viewers again, seedblog.com. You can go there and you can get the ebook, and you can learn all the wisdoms, all of Tammy's wisdoms. So we were talking about Seed Blog and the ebook, but with about 10 minutes ago, what I wanted to find out was a bit more, just go in a bit more, let's see, with Fry's, with your products and your availability and what's in your products and that sort of thing. So we really haven't spoken much about that. So,
I've shared with you the story. Obviously, Fry's is still very much family owned and run. We're very passionate. I would say we're a 100% purpose driven organization. When I say that, I mean that our focus is not financial. It's just our family. So, you know, we don't have shareholders and investors. It's just us. And yeah, we're very passionate about what we do every day. So our values are really shared with our employees. And we find that everybody is really buys into what we're trying to do, which is to help people to transition to a plant-based diet, give them alternatives to make it simple and easy for them to transition. That's what we do. And we actually, you know, I've shared this with a lot of reporters as well. Is we don't measure at the end of the year. We never measure our success in money terms. So we obviously we have to. We're not, you know, we've got accountants and we manage our business properly. But we always look at how many animals' lives we've saved if someone chose a Fry's product or a meat product. And we did a calculation and we said that if someone had done that and they'd been eating Fry's instead of meat, we essentially would have saved 15 million chickens, 15,000 cows, and 75,000 pigs.
Over what period of time?
So that's over a year. So
okay, so what were the figures again? It was pretty impressive.
15 million chickens, 15,000 cows, and 75,000 pigs. So that's how I suppose those are the numbers that we celebrate, because that's almost unfathomable. Like, to think we started in a kitchen and now we produce food for 30 countries in the world. And this is the kind of impact that we could possibly be having, which is so exciting for us as a family.
And it's just, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing to think. And those are the numbers that we really celebrate. So that's how we go to work every day.
That is fantastic. I'm inspired. I love. I mean, business is something that, you know, personally, I love to see how businesses run and the ethics behind them and that. But you know, the way you've described Fry's is just, you know, it hits me in the heart. It's just I love it. That's beautiful. When can I start? I want to work for Fry's. It sounds great.
We could do with some help, but yeah, because veganism's on trend at the moment. You see a lot of organizations. You see a lot of money being poured in, and people that aren't even vegan just jumping on the bandwagon. But you know, we didn't start a vegan business. Of course, we didn't start a vegan business to make money 30 years ago. There were no vegans in South Africa. Nobody even knew what that was. I mean, there might have been a few, but I don't think anyone really knew what veganism was. So it certainly wasn't a thing back then. So we never set out. This was never a business that Wally and Debbie set out so they could, you know, make a whole lot of money and this was going to be the next big thing. And nobody knew it was going to be the next big thing. So it just now to be a big thing.
Yeah, it's that is the times we're in now, that with the changes that have happened. And so all the products are vegan. Have they always been vegan, or were they vegetarian and you transitioned across?
Always been vegan from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't make anything that's not vegan. Never have, never will. So,
that is fantastic. I love it. That is.
I'm making a pledge.
What was that? Sorry.
I said to everyone who's watching, I'm making that pledge.
I love it. That is awesome. That's really. I mean, just imagine a world where more companies actually had that ethos.
Yeah, it would be a very different place, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be. It would be, because they would be helping to change the world. So, with a few minutes to go, I wanted to ask you, you know, with the changes you've seen, with the journey you've been on, with the educating people that you do, what do you find? Is there one way that you feel is best to to reach out to people? I mean, we've been talking a lot about exempling, but you know, statistically, there is. They say that documentaries are very high on the list of things that influence people to go vegan, and also friends and family in that. So, you know, what's your experience?
I would agree with that. I think I wouldn't say one topic. Like I wouldn't say animal rights or the environment or health, because that really depends on what the person cares about. So, you know, if they're health conscious, they might be interested in the health aspects. But I definitely think I have to say, you know, What the Health, that was a game changer. What the Health was a game changer for vegan. It just broke down so many misunderstandings and help people to understand and see propaganda for what it really is. So I think that was a game changer. Then of course there's the really hard hitting, you know, animal rights documentary, which I haven't. I mean, I'm unable to watch them, but those are very, very successful in changing people. But you often find, I think, you know, you find someone watch that, and then they'll go vegan, and then after a month they don't know what they're doing, and they go back to eating meat. So you find, I think, there's a huge churn rate of veganism and vegetarianism, and I think that's a massive job that needs to be done. Is you can't just show someone a documentary and then leave them. Now they need a whole lot of support, because if they've decided to go vegan in one day, they don't know what they're doing. And this is a completely different way of living. This is changing everything, how their kitchen operates, what they're going to cook, how they're going to nourish themselves, how they're going to be healthy, how they're still going to feel good every single day, how they're not going to have an afternoon slump and feel sleepy. So you have to now support them to move along that path. Alternatively, the transition can be slower, and that seems to be more sustainable, because now they learn as they go, and they learn, oh, if I do that, that helps me. If I'm lacking something, I know where I can go and find it, and that slower transition seems to have more longevity. So you've got to be really careful about how you advocate, and then what support does that individual need.
And when you talk about support, what do you find is good support?
I mean, you know, if it's a friend or a family member, it's really about, you know, recipes, and keeping, as I said to you before, keeping those recipes simplistic. And someone wants to cook food in 10 minutes. They don't want to soak their nuts overnight, and then you know, like that's just on a whole nother level. We just want to give them the simplistic things, and not too many pitfalls. Like I've often heard, I've been to talks where, you know, well-meaning vegans have stood up. I've taken my friends there, and they've said, oh, you know, you have to watch out for this vitamin, that mineral, and that other mineral, and if you don't eat meat, you're going to lack that mineral. And the person's so overwhelmed, they're like, oh my goodness, I don't think I can do this. This is hard. You know, instead of just saying, you know, it's pretty simple. If you're buying almond milk, you're probably getting the calcium, and you know they are fortifying all those things. And you know, if you used to like macaroni and cheese, well, you can still have mac and cheese. You don't have to. The person doesn't have to be whole food plant-based day one. They just need a plan to get there.
Do you have a good website or Facebook page of that with easy, simple recipes you like to recommend to people?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the Fry's platform has got everything that a meat eater used to eat in a plant-based format. I mean, there are hundreds of, you know, from Thai cuisine to curries. We've got absolutely everything. What's barbecue? What do you have at Christmas? I mean, we've got videos of how to make a vegan Wellington. You know, just how do you do it and veganize it? And that's phase one. And my blog is more focused maybe on whole foods, because for me personally, I'm more you know, I've done veganism for a very long time. So I eat more whole food diets. I eat organic food. I get all my fruits and vegetables delivered on a Friday. Most people are shopping at Coles and Woolworths, and that's awesome. I mean, they're not going to change that tomorrow. Let them go there. There's lots of food there, good food for people to eat that's there as well. So I guess it's about making it simple, as simple as possible.
Yeah, that's right. You got to, exactly. We're time poor and we're overwhelmed by information, and yes, we've got to make it as simple as possible and make the support as easy as possible. I think that's right. So people can go to the Fry's Facebook page to get recipes, or to the website, or about
8 or 9 downloadable free e-cookbooks. lunchbox options for kids, everything. Yeah, I mean, there's so many options there. Just jump online, you'll see all the cookbooks there. You've got my seed book, which is on the seed blog website, and you can download that. There's recipes, smoothies, meal plans, things like that. And these are all free resources. So jump on and get hold of those. It's a great way to start.
Right.
Share with your friends even and say, oh, have you tried this recipe? Or have you tried these sausage rolls? I mean, you know, like things, when people eat our nuggets, they cannot believe that they are not chicken. And we work with Animals Australia, and we do advocacy with them. We supply nuggets for free to Animals Australia. And they have a team or teams that go into universities, and they give people our nuggets. And they don't even say these are vegan nuggets. So they don't even say that. They say, these are nuggets. And the person eats it, they're like, oh, they're great. Where did you get them from? Well, actually, you don't have any chicken in them. And then suddenly the person's open to the idea. Oh, wow, I would eat these. You know, these are awesome. Oh, and they're gluten-free, and they're this and that. Oh, yeah, definitely I'll try these. So it's been very, very successful form of advocacy. We actually went with them. They produced a video, and you can find it online. They went to a chicken nugget festival with the fries nuggets. And they went sort of very, you know, they didn't say that they were coming as Animals Australia. They just said, we've got nuggets. Can we come to the Nugget Festival? And they got in, and they showcased our nuggets. And these like real chicken nugget fans were at the festival, and they filmed their reactions. And every single person that ate a fries nugget said, I would eat that. I would eat that once a week. And that's
fantastic.
That's great. Now you've got people who love nuggets are actually willing to eat vegan nuggets, you know, and that's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to win the battle.
I tell you what, I feel so inspired with what you've told me. That is fantastic. I love it. That is a great way to wind up the Vegan Hour, I think, for 2018. But before we do, there's a couple of comments that Danny said, I had no support when I became vegan. I just followed my heart. And Sandra said, Sandra Kimler, who was a guest on the Vegan Hour earlier this year, she said, love Tammy Fry, Kelly. You both are so inspirational. Kyle says, love the fry range. The whole bottom of my freezer is full. Don't miss out on anything. Kathy says, yes, fries are great. Makes the transition easy. Kyle says, they taste so real, you almost feel uncomfortable. And Kathleen says, wise lady. Well, there's a lot of good comments to help wind up tonight's episode.
That's very kind. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do, Harry. So thanks for having me. And anyone can reach me. You know, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. So reach out. I love connecting with people, and let's go and change the world.
And you are certainly doing a good job of it, and both you personally and also through the company. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you tonight, Tammy. The links to the Fry Facebook page are actually on this live stream, and so people can click on there after the live stream and go to the page. So I guess we've come to the end of the end of the story. So thank you once again. And this, folks, has been the last Vegan Hour for 2018, but you'll be able to rewatch it either on my Facebook page or on YouTube. It should be on YouTube within a day or two on my YouTube channel. And I will be back, of course, in 2019 with some more amazing guests like Tammy. We might even get her back on and she can tell us more stuff. Who knows? Anything's possible. So thanks to everyone that watched tonight. Thank you again, Tammy. And remember, everyone, if I can get this in camera, there we go. Live vegan and save lives. And I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, Tammy, and good night, everyone.